Good morning, everybody. Happy July 4th, Independence Day. For those of you who live in the U.S., our prayer requests are as follows. Gary Scandal, his youngest daughter needs prayers as her life is going downhill. It's spiraling a little bit out of control. She needs prayers to help her realize that she needs to get her life back on track before it gets any worse. And also, Gary's friend lost a son, and that makes 3 friends of Gary's that lost a child this year, which is awful. Heart of Gold Cuisine has a request for patience. Jan's Life Journey, YouTuber Amy from the channel What the Paranormal, her mother had a heart attack. And Mrs. Hopkins, 73, lost her mom, so prayers for her. And for Bruce Haas, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Bruce Haas Batman, ask for prayers for guidance. He is struggling with some things right now and just needs some guidance. So those are our prayer requests, so keep them in your prayers. Our scripture reading today is from Luke 24:17 through 27. He asked them, "What are you discussing so intently as you walk along?" They stopped short, sadness written across their faces. Then one of them, Cleopas, replied, "You must be the only person in Jerusalem who hasn't heard about all these things that have happened there the last few days." "What things?" Jesus asked. "The things that happened to Jesus, the man from Nazareth," they said. "He was a prophet who did powerful miracles, and he was a mighty teacher in the eyes of God and all the people. But our leading priests and other religious leaders handed him over to be condemned to death, and they crucified him. We had hoped he was the Messiah who would come to rescue Israel. This all happened 3 days ago." Then some women from our group of his followers were at his tomb early this morning, and they came back with an amazing report. They said his body was missing, and they had seen angels who told them Jesus is alive. Some of our men ran out to see, and sure enough, his body was gone, just as the women had said. Then Jesus said to them, "You foolish people, you find it so hard to believe all the prophets wrote in the scriptures. Wasn't it clearly predicted that the Messiah would have to suffer all these things before entering his glory?" Then Jesus took them through the writings of Moses and all the prophets, explaining from all the scriptures the things concerning himself. The title of the devotion today is Every Story by Alyssa Morgan. I opened the whimsically illustrated children's Bible and began to read to my grandson. Immediately, we were enthralled as the story of God's love and provision unfurled in prose. I'm assuming that's how you say that. Marking our place, I turned the book over and read the title once again. The Jesus Storybook Bible. Every story whispers his name. Every story whispers his name. To be honest, sometimes the Bible, especially the Old Testament, is hard to understand. Why do those who don't know God seem to triumph over God's own? How can God permit such cruelty when we know that his character is pure and that his purposes are for our good? After his resurrection, Jesus met 2 followers on the road to Emmaus. who didn't recognize him and were struggling with disappointment over the death of their hoped-for Messiah. They had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel. Luke then records how Jesus reassured them. Beginning with Moses and all the prophets, Jesus explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. Every story whispers his name, even the hard stories, because they reveal the comprehensive brokenness of our world and our need for a rescuer. Every act, every event, every intervention points to the redemption God designed for his wayward loved ones to bring us back to himself. How is God's rescue at work in your life? What stories trouble you today? In what ways, however small, can you see God at work in them? God, help us listen as you whisper your name through the stories of Scripture. Every story. Thank you for listening, for joining me for today's devotion, and I hope you all have a very wonderful 4th of July.